Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. It's a free and easy way to support the channel. Very big thank you to everyone who leaves a comment as well to help out the algorithm. I'm going to keep saying it until it's no longer true. Something really weird is going on, and I haven't yet figured out exactly what it is, but I think I'm almost there. If you haven't seen any of the last 10 to 15 videos, there's been a really weird, no, 30 to 40 videos. And I mean that number sincerely. There's a really weird trend of the news being companies de-dollarizing, getting away from US stocks and equities and securities, and moving their money into Bitcoin. We have a lot of news about the debt crisis. If you haven't seen it, the debt's terrible. Like, it's bad. Like, not like kind of okay. It's like, oh, like things are actually crumbling. And because of that, companies and institutions are moving into Bitcoin. And then we have the actual news about the companies who are actually moving their money into Bitcoin, announcing that they're getting into Bitcoin, are buying more Bitcoin. But the numbers, they mean something in that this wouldn't just happen for no reason. Do you remember, for those of you who weren't here, this was a video, maybe we spoke about it one other time. MicroStrategy's initial intent was to do a 21-21 plan. Back in the olden days of October, November last year, their entire intent was basically to put around $10, $15, $20 million into Bitcoin at different intervals. That then transformed into them buying $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin, and everyone was like, whoa, that's a lot. They had 170,000 Bitcoin. That then transformed into them having roughly around 200,000, and then announcing their 21-21 plan. Basically, there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin, that kind of thing. But they wanted to mimic it over the course of 2 years, where they, as a company, would be raising $21 billion to buy Bitcoin, and then the following year, $21 billion to also buy Bitcoin. Pretty easy to understand. That already was catastrophically insane from the standpoint of normal people ever being able to actually accumulate enough Bitcoin. I still think it's a little weird that people don't understand how finite all of this is, and that these companies are making sure that they do everything that they can to buy up all of it. The fact that people still refuse to get that is boggling the mind. Then they announced that they have a brand new plan. So on top of the 21-21, they're going to be executing an 84 plan. You guessed it, they're going to be raising $84 billion to be able to buy more Bitcoin. When I say it's weird that when we get news like this and prices don't rise, it's because it's really weird. If we had heard from any company, anywhere on the planet, that they were going to be raising $21 billion to buy Apple stock, Apple stock would have risen by a lot as other people began to accumulate. If we had heard that a company was raising $21 billion to buy Nvidia stock would have risen. You can name any company you want. If a company said, after that $42 billion, we're going to be raising an additional $84 billion to buy that same exact stock that we already have $60 billion of, the valuation of that stock would have risen as other people also jumped into the trade essentially as well. The weirdest part of all of this, like I've been saying, is that something's up. You don't go from 10, 15, 20 million dollars to $500 million to 1.2 billion to being like, all right, cool, $84 billion. That happens when you have some kind of insider knowledge that no one else has, or maybe other people do, but they're also as wealthy as you are. You don't simply hit those numbers or announce that you're going to be accumulating that much unless you know something is actively happening. There's another company called Metaplanet. You've heard of them. They've been in the space for more or less a year and a half or 2 years. Metaplanet is a company in Tokyo who became famous because they were, and I mean like the second or third. There were other ones, but they're the one that gained the most notoriety in announcing that they were going to be buying Bitcoin. Their purchases were $500,000 and $1.2 million and $2.4 million and 3.3, like that, within that range. It was very high. Like, let's be clear, $3 million is a lot, but it wasn't in the billions. It wasn't anything like MicroStrategy-esque. Then they announced they had a brand new plan. The plan was to purchase 10,000 Bitcoin. And I was like, what? Like, where did that come from? How did that transpire from you only buying $1 million before? To be clear, 10,000 Bitcoin is an astronomical amount of Bitcoin. A couple of weeks later, they announced their plan for next year. So the 10,000 is this year. They want for next year, they want to raise they want to buy and own 21,000 Bitcoin. That in and of itself is like, you guys are a little crazy. Like, that's a huge amount, keeping in mind the finiteness of Bitcoin and 21,000 Bitcoin basically being taken off the table for the wealthiest people on the planet. Not even adding to the fact that the average person on this planet right now cannot afford 0.01 Bitcoin. Are you understanding how like insane this actually is when we keep hearing these numbers? If MicroStrategy has 600,000 Bitcoin, the average person does not have $1,000 to be able to throw into Bitcoin to even have 0.01. Metaplanet just announced, after their other previous $2 million, $3 million, $4 million Bitcoin purchases, they've announced that they are now positioning themselves as a Bitcoin treasury company. They are going to be issuing and selling 555 million shares of their company, and something relatively similar to what MicroStrategy has been doing. MicroStrategy issues stock or issues debt against the company and like a way to raise money quickly, and then they'll pay back their investors over the course of a period of time. Many of MicroStrategy's dues, like they have to pay back, are in 2027, 2028, 2029, when the original companies are going to be paid back. So they're doing this in a way that they're going to raise money from the 555 million shares. Remember the numbers I was telling you before? The 3 millions and the 2.1 millions? They've announced that they are going to be raising 5.4 billion US dollars. You do not go from 1, 2, 3, 4 million to then announcing that you're raising 5.4 billion US dollars without knowing something. The risk is far too high. It's one thing if you are issuing debt against your company and you owe someone else $1.28 million. It's another thing when you owe them $100 million. It's a real another thing if you owe them $1 billion. If you are trying to take out $5.4 billion to buy more Bitcoin, their current goal is to accumulate 210,000 Bitcoin within the next year and a half. That's 1% of all the Bitcoin that there would ever be. Something really weird is happening. Like something, and it's not a joke. You haven't heard me joke once this video. Something really weird is actually taking place. Someone knows something's going to happen, something is about to take place, something's going to be in the news, someone's about to accumulate something. You don't up the ante like that for no given reason. I don't care how much conviction you have in an asset. You don't do something like that unless you know, check, this thing is actually going to happen. Like in real time, that you'll be able to pay back that money. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to keep saying it until it's no longer true. Something very weird is happening. All the Bitcoin is being bought up by these companies and institutions. And I can only hope and assume that everyone else out there is paying attention. I just assume this video is going to have 8 billion views and tons of people around the world are going to catch on and realize that they also should be buying some Bitcoin. But if the average person cannot afford 0.01 Bitcoin, can the average person, the other 4 billion people on the planet, they can't afford 0.001. That's 100,000 Satoshis. Remember when I told you before, you are going to enter a world where people brag to you that they have 25, 30, 40,000 Satoshis, because that'll be a lot of money. Well, I hope you all continue to pay attention. Hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope that it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.